Good evening and welcome to the Tahoe Chamber State of Education here on the South Shore. My name is Steve Teixeira. I'm the Director of Government Relations for the Chamber, and with me is our Chief Executive Officer, Mike Glover. I'm going to have Mike come forward in just a couple minutes to give you all here in the room and on the Zoom and those watching later a little update on the Chamber activities coming up this fall. And then we have two great guests with us this evening, Dr. Todd Cutler, the Superintendent of Lake Tahoe Unified School District, and Adam Einen, who is the Director of Dual Enrollment Grant Manager.
Director grant.
Yeah. Anyway, it's really interesting because you have a program in our community where you can finish high school, get some credits to finish high school, and then start your credits for your college education program. That's pretty unique, at least in my experience. They didn't have anything like that when I was in third grade, but when I got to fourth. So it's really a good and timely program. The school year has just started, and Dr. Cutler is going to give us sort of the state of what's going on at the school district, some of the challenges, some of the things that are happening. We know at the Chamber that a really good educational system in a community is vital to the community, to our businesses, and to all of our families, and everything that goes on. Education is the fundamental. So that's why we wanted to do this program for you all tonight, and glad that you could join us. So first of all, let me introduce our CEO at the Chamber, Mike Glover.
So I just want to make a couple of brief announcements. First, I want to thank everybody for being here that's in the room, and then for everybody that's watching online, either now or since I didn't actually post that Zoom link later. Got a couple of things coming up. The biggest that we want to announce is October 26th at the Tahoe Blue Event Center. We will be holding our Business Expo. This will be the first time in a few years that we've actually been able to put it back on in person, and we're really looking forward to a very strong turnout. We've had a lot of help from Jessica Albee from SLT Events. She's gone out and secured a lot of vendors, and so those people that are coming as guests and visitors to the Business Expo are really going to benefit and see a lot of small businesses and large businesses from around the Tahoe Basin, so I encourage everyone to attend. Next, Leadership Lake Tahoe. And I want to give a quick shout out to Tamara Wallace, who's sitting in the room, because she actually started that program a while back. And we are getting ready to launch a new cohort starting October 26th. We have the program roster being developed currently, but we have the class list. We have 22 folks, a very strong group of people that are going to go through that program. So we're really very excited. The whole thrust of that program really is to create future community leaders. And we do that by giving them professional development opportunities. We make sure that we get them engaged with civic and community leaders so that they can go out on their own after they're done with the program and already have those connections and contacts. So we're very excited about getting this program launched and rolling again. And then last but not least, we just finished moving our offices. We occupied a building for the last 15 years with the Lake Tahoe Visitors Authority. Barton Health is now the proud owner of that building, and we are moving on. Lake Tahoe Visitors Authority will occupy offices in the new Tahoe Blue Event Center. We actually have two sets of offices on the California and the Nevada side because we are a bi-state chamber. So we'll have offices at Untethered, which is a co-work space, and then in co-work Tahoe on the California side. So we'll have a presence in both areas and make it easier for us to be more involved in the community, because that's always what we want to accomplish. So that's really all I have to say, and again, thank you and enjoy the program.
Thank you, Mike. So I actually first met Dr. Cutler when he wasn't a doctor, when he was a quarterback at Battelle High School. And I know that he pursued a career in football, but we're all glad that he actually turned his attention to education. And he could maybe tell you a little bit about his educational start and how he's moved up through the ranks to become, interestingly enough, the superintendent of Lake Tahoe Unified School District, a bit of a football throw away from where he went to school. So we're very glad to have Dr. Cutler in our community, so please help me welcome Dr. Todd Cutler.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much. Yeah, Steve Mike, thank you for doing this and hosting this. And you know, if you don't know me, I grew up here in South Lake Tahoe, Southeast Shore in Nevada side. Went to Zephyr Cove Elementary, Kingsbury Middle, and George Wattell High School before going off to college. Actually, and then returning back to Douglas County, where I taught. I first started teaching at Douglas High School, and it's been quite a journey. I just completed my 30th year of public education. This is the year 31. And I started my first superintendency in 2009. So just to give you, this is my third superintendency, and really an honor and a privilege to be the superintendent of Lake Tahoe Unified School District. It's been really interesting since my return, you know, just starting my fourth year, but coming back home to work and going around the schools and having memories of a child, actually, you know, because I did so many things in the city of South Lake Tahoe, not just on the Nevada side. But it is really an honor to be here and to be the superintendent. And, you know, I will say this has been an interesting time and transition to become the superintendent here, as we started right off with COVID, and then we jumped right into the smoke and fires, and then we jumped right into Snowmageddon, and it's been kind of an interesting 3 years of time. And, you know, I would say this, I think that even with all of those challenges we've been facing as a school system, I believe that we're in a really great path and a great course forward, and I'm really excited about where we are as a schools district and the great work that folks are doing out there in our schools every day to meet the needs of our students. You know, there were so many great things happening here for many, many years already, and we're just working to continue to enhance that and improve that. So I'm to make sure I move through my slides a little bit for us, but I want to tell you, we did start school already. It's interesting because a lot of schools these days, they start like the 1st of August, many of them. It's like, and they're all back in school, and we're still on vacation. And August 28th, we started school, and we had our staff all together on August 24th. And I told them, I said, this has got to be the best year yet. It has to be the best year yet. We've had a lot of challenge and tough times in the past few years that we've had to persevere through and be strong through. And I'm really proud of what we've done in that. Yet, let's have a great year, make it the best year yet. And what I said to everybody is, that, you know how we're going to do that? By supporting everybody, by helping lift everybody up. Let's figure out how we can make sure that everybody, all of our staff, all of our families, our community, especially our students, are given what they need and supported. And that's really the focus of our work. And I'm excited about that focus. So you can see a couple pictures here of the start of, that was first day, you know, first day, oops, wrong way. First day was exciting. It's always exciting. Somebody asked me, you know, what's going to happen this start of the school year? We're going to get to school, and it's going to be fun, and it's going to be exciting, and it's going to be new. And, of course, in Tahoe, the air is always kind of brisk and cool at the beginning of the morning, but, you know, the cool air starts to come in a little bit more and more in school, and it just feels like fall, and there's so many great things happening, and it's an exciting time. I do want to tell you that I'm going to have to figure this out shortly. I work for a great board of trustees, and I do want to call them out. Unfortunately, I don't believe they were able to make it tonight. All were previously scheduled. But I want to say this, and I don't know how much folks are paying attention to politics in school districts and politics in school systems, but there's a lot of negativity going on. And I will tell you that these 5 board members, they work for the best interest of our district, for the best interests of students, and they do it in a very collaborative way, a way that doesn't become divisive and create barriers. They're committed to it. They've established goals. They have high expectations of those goals. They have high expectations of me. And so I would just tell you, I'm really proud to be able to work for them. They are my bosses. Yet I really feel as though we are just a governance team focused on doing what's best. And so I've just shared this briefly. They've set a goal and some priorities of that goal, and every year we revisit and we make some adjustments. And so I just did highlight student preparation and performance. How are we improving our students' performance? What are we doing to help them be more successful? Culture and engagement. How are we engaging with our community, our staff? How are we creating better communication, two-way? Those are things that are very important to the board. Professional growth and learning. How are we all learning and growing and getting better? I will tell you, just to talk about the board, they do book reads, and we do book study sessions, and they go to conferences to learn about the role of this board member and how to be more effective. They learn about current educational practices. So they really are committed, but all of our district is. We have a very structured and detailed professional development plan about how each of us can get better. That's really a focus of our district is, you know what, if I can get better, then our district can get better. And if everybody says, no matter what their role or their position is, if I can learn and grow, then our district can be a better place. And we really focus our professional development on all of our staff. And we provide professional development to parents and others, and I'll highlight that in a little bit. And then wellness, and really this has come about in a big deal over the last few years. We're talking about the wellness of all of us, our social, emotional, physical health, and it's a really important part to the board and a real focus of the board's work. And I would just tell you, it's a focus of our conversations. I want to invite you, September 25th, it's a Monday evening, I believe at 6 o'clock at the district. We're going to talk about health, wellness, attendance, social, emotional components, and how do we make sure that we're helping support our students and also get them to school, because we've had a very high attendance rate. So we're going to really focus on that. I don't know why. Oh, there we go. I want to just tell you, we have a large team of folks that take care of the business every day, and of course our principal's out. But I do have a couple folks here tonight that also, if we have questions, that I would love for them to help out with. Our executive cabinet includes Andrea Salazar, our business and operations, Associate Superintendent of Business Operations, and Dr. Alan Reeder, who is our Associate Superintendent of Educational Services. Also not on this slide with me tonight is Teresa Scow. Teresa sends a bunch of stuff out. She's our Public Information Officer as well as my assistant, and she's doing a great job. She joined, I think, last December, and thrilled to have her. So thank you. I want to just talk about our vision, because I will tell you, I really believe this. I believe that a district and organization has to have a clear vision of what you're doing. Where are you going? And sometimes people think a vision is just words. But I'm going to say this from my seat, and I believe from all of the seats, especially at our leaders, is that the vision is what drives us. Discover and foster the unique talents and potential of all students. Now, somebody might say, well, aren't you already doing that? No, not effectively. We have great systems in place that do reach some students and help them discover and foster their unique talents. But we need to make sure that that's all students, that we can reach every student. And through that system of a pre-K through 12th, that we're helping students discover truly what are they talented at? What are their interests? What are their aptitudes? And how do we then work on that to help them? And that also motivates them to be better students and to get excited for their future. So that vision drives us. And when I like to say vision is like, it is that picture out there that if we were doing this, truly doing this, we'd have an amazing district. Not quite there yet. But what do we have to do daily to actually get to it? And so, little delay, am I doing it wrong? The computer. Okay, all right, very good. Mission. Now, I'm going to just I'm going to pull apart this mission statement for a little bit, because I think it's really important. And we talk about it as a system, we talk about it with our leaders constantly, that the mission statement is a statement of how we will operate on a daily basis, how we will show up to work and commit how we are as leaders, and then also demonstrate that and encourage that through all of our staff and through our parents and our community and our students. So cultivating a collaborative, nurturing environment, really bringing people together and taking care of people. That's that nurturing component. Embrace diversity. Embrace the differences that we have amongst ourselves. And I got to say this to you, and I'm being real and maybe a little raw. I was a child in this community, and I don't know how much we've embraced diversity from that past history. And I think we're working really hard at that, but I still think we get caught on it sometimes, and we got to embrace the differences of all of us and make sure that we're there. And then we got to think about how we promote equity and really mean it, not just say it in words. Develop confident lifelong learners. You know what I believe? I believe that when somebody's confident, so if we discover and foster unique talents and potential of all students, and they're confident in who they are, they can do anything. Any of us. That's a real belief that I live by. And you know, I sometimes I think about it, and Steve referred to me back in that football kid, a little insecure on how talented am I, how smart am I, what, and I just believe you have to believe in yourself, and you have to know that things aren't always going to be easy, and that you can push through, and yet you can really be that lifelong learner that results in academic excellence. So you're going to perform, civic responsibility, and emotional physical wellness. Now, both the vision and mission statements, we had a workshop in April of 2020, my first year, 2021, excuse me, in my first year here, and we designed and developed this. It was great. We had, I think, 40 people on a Zoom, 40 people in a room with masks on, and we got through, and we worked through these vision and mission statements. But I just want to tell you, it drives our work, and I'm proud of that. I'm going to go the right way sometime. So I want to just, I use this slide in a lot of things, but I just really want to say this because I think that oftentimes we are fighting against each other. And so if you look at this slide and you think, what does aligned vision? And aligned means we're together in it. We're aligned. We're all working towards it with a vision and mission to bring the organization. It establishes a clear positive direction. And if we can all get together on that, and we can all believe in it together, then we can accomplish really, in my mind, anything. So the bottom is that there's no real vision and mission, and I think we have that as a system. The next one up is, well, some people believe in it, some people don't, but you know, whatever. And the bottom is maybe utopian thinking, but like, hey, can we all just get on and let's just go together? Because as Steve highlighted at the beginning of this, an educational system that's working collaboratively with its community and effectively is doing a great job is going to make a community that much better. And we need to do that as a team and as a group, as a unit. And I'm just a portion and a part of that system, just like as everybody else is. So my vision is that we will work our vision and mission together to be all aligned in that direction. What really matters in our district? I wanted to put this slide up and just, I actually asked our cabinet recently, I said, let's look at a list of what really matters in our district. And let's just see what really does matter. And if you look at the list, teaching and learning, that's the job every day, right? Our bus drivers pick up kids, our food service feeds them, and there's so many other things that happen, but when it really comes down to it, it's what happens inside the classroom with their teacher and their learning. And that we focus on students and their success and their achievement. That we think about equity and diversity. That we create safe learning environments. We've had a lot of concern about safety in these past, several years now, but every time that there's a shooting out in our communities, it creates fear and concern, and what is the school district doing? And safety is not just that type of safety, but that students feel safe just to be who they are. Lots of safety, and we want to create that. We have to make sure with leadership. By the way, in absence of leadership, an organization will struggle. But also, leadership comes from lots of different angles. It's not, when people just look at the superintendent and say, you're the leader. I'm like, I'm a support. And in my role, I'll be a leader, but so is everybody. Everybody has the opportunity to lead and guide us to where we need to be. Social, emotional, physical, and mental health. Community participation and partnership. I'm going to highlight that more in a little bit. Top-notch facilities. Interesting enough, we have some really top-notch facilities in our district. We have some other facilities that are falling apart and getting so old that we need help. And that's been, we went for a bond in 2022. We didn't get it. This winter demonstrated to us how severe our needs are in regards to our facilities. We have some amazing facilities. We also have some places that just have to have some more work. And career tech education, spend some time talking about that a little bit, but it's really those things that matter. You could put more on this list, and actually I would love to hear, what more on the list you might think about it, but those are the things that we said, these are our top, what really matters in our district. You know what, and I'm just going to cover briefly and quickly these topics. Talk about partners, budget, operations, and educational programs that we're focused on. Now, I want to tell you, I said I started teaching, my first teaching job was at Douglas High School, and I remember that they gave me a set of keys and said, there's your classroom. And actually education back then really did focus on, you know what, you had your classroom, there's your books, go do your job. And schools, you just did your thing. And so I've been using this mic, by the way, these used to be overhead projector slide stuff. My wife, anytime she sees this, is like, really, can't you just get that updated or something? And I'm like, I like it. It kind of shows what it used to be. But the slide's really important to me because it's like, we can't improve as a system when each individuals are just doing what they want, or what they're, well, in essence, how I should say this, is they're taking on their problems or their challenges by themselves. You can't do that. You got to work together. You got to collaborate. You got to learn together. You got to partner. And you got to come together and talk. And then you got to find solutions together. And I say this as I lead into some slides about partnership. I want to stress this is it's really a belief of our system that we cannot accomplish anything alone. We can't be the top-notch district that we all want us to be alone. We have to have partners. And by the way, if you're not listed on this and we missed you, sorry, we were trying to think of all the partners that we work with and collaborate with. And you know, it's interesting, so many partners in the room, the city of South Lake Tahoe, Barton, and by the way, Barton was so key during those tough times with COVID. You know, our partnership with John Rice and Sierra at Tahoe, ski passes, and boy, he's been through so many challenging times. Asked him to come speak to our staff this year, and he just delivered such a great message. Partnership really, really matters, and we thank partners for being with us because we can't do this alone. Lake Tahoe Ed Foundation having an event on September 21st. I think it's down at Works. Please, make your way there. The money they raise to help us do what we do, I can just keep going. The Lake Tahoe Chamber doing this event. Partnerships make it happen, and I appreciate all the partnership. Wanted to just highlight one of our partnerships is also working on a tiny homes project. Well, I wanted to highlight it here is because it takes a lot of resources and people coming together. We're working on a tiny homes project where our students will build tiny homes. CTE class build tiny homes where our plan is that as the students produce them, we'll create a space for them and actually have housing for like our first year teachers and people that we need to help with housing. It's in its infancy and we're really excited about it, but much more to come. I just wanted to highlight because one of the things we talk about, like the Tahoe Prosperity Center, which there's folks in the room that are on the board, I'm on the board, is how are we dealing with housing? Because that's a real issue for us. I know the chamber is talking about those issues a lot, and of course the city as well. Just to highlight district budget, interesting enough, our budgets are really hard right now. And we do a great job, and a real shout out to Andrea Salazar, our Chief Business Officer. During COVID, we actually had a lot more money, and all that money is kind of going away. But also, let me go here. Some budget challenges, and I'll just highlight a few here for you, but we are decreasing in enrollment. Actually, when I saw the posting for this position in, I think it was November of 2019, it said a school district of 4,000 students. We've been slowly declining, and we're about 3,500 now. That's actually a loss of revenue, and we have to decline. We have to think about how we're pulling back staffing, and we're doing things like that. Attendance has been, we get paid on average daily attendance. Our attendance has been where usually you'd think it's at 95 to 96%. We've been in the mid 80% range because of COVID and other, when it was snowing out there, and a lot of folks said, I'm not sending my kids to school in that snow, right? So we do our best to always have a safe way to get them there or cancel. So you can just see some of these concerns. Increased operating expenses. It takes a lot of money to operate this school district. Of all the districts I've been, you think about it, snow, damages, areas, and snow removal. I could just talk about a lot of things. So expenses are there, and it's very challenging to us. But there's some improvements that we're working on. Did I get it up? There we go. Overall budget improvements. By the way, we said to ourselves we had to make sure we have a good reserve funding balance component. So because we can't be where all of a sudden if things go bad, we aren't able to take care of ourselves. So we're making sure that we have that. We've implemented what we call staffing ratios. every position in our district, with the exception of the superintendent, because the superintendent is a requirement by law, is every position in our district has a ratio to it, so that as we decrease our enrollment, we have to scale back our staffing so that we can fund it. And that's really helped us as we've looked at how are we managing the declining enrollment. It's really helped us with our budget. We've done a great job, and I just yell out to our staff and community members with grants, because it's really helped us be successful in doing what we want to do. Development plans, energy plans, and how we're going to save dollars and cents. Facility master plan, how are we going to build out the future of our school system and be prepared for that. And in learning environment assessments, where we're looking at what do we really need to do. Facilities planning, I just want to talk just really briefly about it. We had a facilities master's plan in 21-22. It was very thorough, and this page that's up here on the slide right now highlights all that was in the planning. And what's great on that top, code and health safety, modernizing learning environments, and playgrounds and outdoor learning areas. Our playgrounds and outdoor learning areas are really in a tough place. We said those are our focus. When we went for the bond in 2022, we said we can afford, by what we were asking for, to actually take care of those three things for sure. And that was the focus. But we said we really need all of the things, all of the components of it are part of it, but those were the highlights. Sometimes some folks ask me, what modern learning environment, what's that mean? And I see that Gina from Meteors here, thank you, another one of our partners. What it means is actually, I think about this, I found chairs and desks in our district that I sat on. Believe it or not, technology and furniture has changed. And believe it or not, that it gets old, it's not functional, it's not fluid, and education is more fluid and flexible right now. We want to create learning environments that are highly effective for our teachers to teach and students to learn. We're also working on sustainability. Very important component of this, of our community, important for our state, and a very important component for our world. And our board is really highly focused on making sure that we think about how everything we do moving forward thinks about that sustainability. And you see the goals up here. And really, I want to say, as we think about moving our systems forward, we'll always be thinking about how are we adapting and making our systems more sustainable and reducing the use of fossil fuels and creating a cleaner environment. And with that, also, we've got, how many new buses are on their way for us that are the electric buses? 18, potential of 18 buses. Well, we had to electrify the garage, and we're working with Liberty, thanks to the city also helping us with getting permits going and everything else, so that we can get our fleet up to speed with new buses and ready to go. So we're really, really excited about that. I also want to highlight, we have some ongoing facility challenges, and I just want to say, some folks, just really, it's a plea almost, to realize the struggles and challenges we're having with some of our old buildings. Asphalt and potholes our asphalt across our district has to be replaced, very expensive. We need to make sure that we have once we are able to replace it, have a long-term plan to maintain it. But age will always get the asphalt over time, especially with the weather. We've had several roof leaks. Unfortunately, and you can see STHC wing here, during wintertime we had a beam break, we had roof leaks, we had mold system concerns, we had a lot of issues that happened. And ABC wing, if you're familiar with it, the high school, it's old, it has a lot of work to be done on it. And this highlights some of the structural damage. Myers Elementary had some structural damage as well. I just highlight that just to say it's real, and we got to figure out a way to make sure we can get after it, fix it for the future of our system. And lastly, I want to talk about is our planning goals for education. These three goals are really our focus of our work every single day to align back with the vision and mission, increase student achievement, promote professional learning and collaboration, and enhance our positive climate and culture. Just to highlight the action steps for each of these. And really specifically, when you think about increased student achievement, we're thinking about how we give intervention and supports. We have a single focus plans at each of our sites, and what that is sites think specifically looking at their issues and their needs at each of the sites, and the staff coming forward and saying, this is what we need to do, and actually putting money towards that. We have Core Improvement Academy. It's actually an academy that our leaders and teachers are working with to actually think about how we improve. CTE, Discover, Explore, and Engage. That's the idea of that at elementary school, we need to actually have students start to discover what kind of careers are out there. Middle school, explore, and high school, and actually engage in them. Action Steps 2 is really focused on how we are doing our professional learning, back to that goal, and specifically, some folks say, why are we doing those early out Wednesdays? Much of those days are for our staff to get together to talk about how we do it better, how are students performing. We have people come in and work with our staff on professional components of it, and they actually implement. We have a partnership with CalEd Partners, which is looking at implementation of effective math strategies, just to highlight a few. And the last one is really about the whole. Actually, we think about how we're supporting the student beyond the academics, how we're supporting the family, for example. And I said earlier, education for parents. We have what we call PK, Parent Institute for Quality Education, where we bring folks in to help parents. How do they help their children to be successful and to drive towards their future? And on this, you can see community partners, working with all of our partners to see how we can make sure we take care of all that we ask, all that everybody needs. And I started by, this would be the best year yet, by lifting people up and supporting them. That's what we need to do. I just wanted to end with this slide because there's so many things that I could have talked about tonight, and I wanted to run through. And this is just a quick list of the things I think we just needed to highlight. First of all, we really have a strong force of employees that are out there really working hard every day, that truly care. In regards to my walks in education in my 31 years, the teachers, the staff of this district truly care, and it's really evident. Our career tech education is top notch, and we're really focused on how we can make it better, stronger, and make it a K-12 system. Dual enrollment, actually, Adam will be talking about dual enrollment. Really think this is an important component of what we're doing in our system, and I'll let him speak to that. Site single focus plans, I've highlighted them, but the site's actually saying this is what we need to do at our site. So the district, and I like to say it like this, the district has what we call the LCAP plan, it's the strategic plan. And then the sites have their SIPSAs, and that's the school improvement plans. And then the sites have the single focus, and they say, if there's one thing we need to do as a school to improve our student performance, this is it, and that's what those are. I gotta tell you, we have one of the strongest performing arts I've ever seen. It's amazing, whether it's music, theater, it's incredible. Athletics and activities are strong in our community, they matter, both sides, not just athletics, it's all of those components that get students engaged. Wellness, I highlight wellness centers. We really are focused on wellness, and we started with a wellness center at the high school, pushed out and now have a wellness center at the middle school, pushed out, we have one at Bijou, and our focus is to get it to all of our schools. We've been successful getting community schools grants, helping us with all of these components. And you know what? 23, 24 is going to be the best year yet. And I say it's going to be the best year yet because really, we're going to partner, we're going to work together. We're all going to work on that vision and mission to make this district be everything that we all want it to be. And I want to say this to everybody. That's what I'm focused on, is working for the best for our staff, our students, so we have an incredible future. So I really thank you for giving me the opportunity to run through this slides. I don't even know how long I've been talking. But so I don't know if we're going to do any question and answer now or if we'll do it later, but thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to speak.
So thank you, Thomas. Are there any questions for Dr. Cutler at this point in time? And I can bring the microphone out to you if you have a question so we get it on the recording. Anybody, you don't have to ask it now. We can ask it at the end. But just thought I'd give you a chance now if you had any questions. Okay, I'm not seeing any hands raised. That sounds like what the teacher would say. Or it's always the same people. So let me then introduce, thank you, Thomas. me then introduce Adam Einen. And again, this dual enrollment opportunity that we have in our community is I think it happens other places, but it's pretty unique here. And as I go around town, I mentioned we're going to do this program, and several parents of teenagers and students said, oh, we'd like to hear more about that. So I think it's great. I'm going to ask Adam as he comes up to talk a little bit about his career in education, how he got to this position. I think he's uniquely qualified for it. So please join me in welcoming Adam Heinen.
Thank you, folks. I appreciate it. I'm going to look down at my phone every now and then just to check the time. So don't worry, I'm not checking my texts or anything, or my Snapchat or something. Yeah, my name's Adam Einen. I am a former administrator. I was an administrator here in the school district at STMS. I was an assistant principal for 2.5 years. Prior to that, I was an assistant principal down in Los Angeles for an innovative school called Da Vinci Schools. It was started and ran by the founder and CEO of Belkin. Chet Pipkin was the founder and CEO, and he was the one who started it. Coincidentally, he actually spends about 50% of his time up here in Tahoe. We found out when I told him I was moving up here. And I was a teacher there as well. I was a high school English teacher, 11th grade and 10th grade and 11th grade honors English teacher. And so when I moved up here, my wife got a job up here at the college, and we started diving in. I said, all right, there's a small community here with like a single high school, and then you have Mount Talac as well, small high school, and a small community college. Oh, they're gonna be dialed in, right? And then seeing like, oh, dual enrollment exists, but there's some work that needs to be done. There's some focus that needs to be done. So when the opportunity came up that LTCC got a very large grant specifically for dual enrollment during the times of COVID, I wanted to jump at it because the schools that I worked at in Los Angeles were doing this as well. And we're in a small community, and I really wanted to be a part of improving our community through education, what was mentioned earlier, and just providing more opportunities for our students to get ahead and to keep up with really the rest of the state. So, Todd, do you have the clicker? Thank you, friend. We will go through. So a lot of questions that I get is, what is dual enrollment? Oh, it's the down one, not the up. What is dual enrollment? So dual enrollment is basically students here in Tahoe take classes at LTUSD at their high school, and the classes count for both high school credit and college credit at the same time. It's killing two birds with one stone. Course enrollments are limited to only LTUSD students. So if it's designated a dual enrollment course, no one from the outside could just walk into STHS's campus and sit in on that course. It's just for the high school students during their bell scheduled day during school. So for example, a student could take Psychology 101 during their 4th period, and that would be a course for them, and it counts towards their high school graduation credit. Really what it's been known for is it's an equitable practice for all students to participate in, and I emphasize all students. All students have the opportunity and should have the opportunity to take these courses if they're interested. It's a community college course. Community college is open to all students. And it's free. So California is pretty cool in this way that students do not have to pay any tuition at all. In other states like Nevada, students have to pay the tuition and other fees that go with it. But here in California, it's completely free. And if there are textbooks issues or material issues, we support and pay for that as well. And we've had some examples where we have. And it's a common practice in California, and it's all over the place, but I will say in the more and more research I'm doing and learning from other community colleges and communities is the smaller the community, actually, the better positioned you are for students to succeed and take advantage of it. And for example, another small mountain town in California, Mammoth, had not a great system, but their college was literally across the street from the high school. And some individuals worked really hard to create a strong dual enrollment program there. And now, as you can see, we have 15% of students in Mammoth each year graduate with their AA degree. So they graduate their AA degree, and then they move on to a 4-year. and they jump right into their majors. Now, I also want to emphasize 15% of their graduates graduate with an AA degree, but that doesn't mean they're the only ones taking advantage of dual enrollment opportunities. You also have a huge percentage of students who may not get an AA degree, but they're getting pretty well ahead in their college achievement before they even graduate high school. Something to really keep in mind. So here's what the research says about dual enrollment. And the research is out there, and the state of California is pumping a lot of money into these programs now because this is it. This is where we're going. This is where we're headed. And dual enrollment, for students who participate in dual enrollment are, one, more likely to graduate high school, more likely to enroll in college, and then more likely to complete college. And I'm going to emphasize that because nationwide, students who go to college, only about 50% make it through. It's kind of sad. It's kind of bad, right? If you participate in dual enrollment, you're going to be on the better side of that statistic. So you're more likely to make it through college if you participate in dual enrollment. It benefits our low-income students and our students of color. They receive the greatest benefits through it, through a couple reasons. One, you save money. College is really expensive now. We know that. We're seeing it all over the news, and it keeps going up. And a lot of students say, I'm not college bound because I can't afford it. Parents will say, you're not going to college. Are you looking at that price tag, right? When you participate in dual enrollment, you're cutting the cost. And then you're getting more and more benefits of going to college for free or getting scholarships for college. Another thing that students receive when they participate in dual enrollment is confidence. I am college bound. I can do this. I can succeed in college. While I'm in high school, I get a little extra support, so when I go away to college, I can handle it. Where a lot of students don't get that, right? In our day, we didn't get that. These students do. And so even just getting that confidence and students realizing they are college bound improves the likelihood of them going to college and completing college. And then another thing is it improves college applications for our students, okay? So there are a lot of students who are those high achievers who are gonna go to college anyway, and they wanna strengthen their college application, or they wanna get ahead and jump right into their major. This is another benefit to dual enrollment. Keep forgetting which side to go to. So I get a lot of questions from parents, community members, folks within the school district. Well, what about AP? What's the difference between AP and dual enrollment? And there are a handful of differences. And actually, a lot of this information that I have up here is contacting various admissions offices and various universities. So for example, I contacted UC San Diego. I was like, all right, talk to me here. When you're looking at applications, what is it when you see AP versus dual enrollment courses? And the individual said, okay, well, AP, there's a lot of variables. Just because you took an AP class doesn't mean you get college credit for that class. You have to take a test at the very end. And then when you take that test, every university looks at your scores differently. So for example, UC Merced says if you take the AP statistics test, you have to get a 4 on the test to receive college credit with them. UC San Diego says, both UCs, if you take AP statistics and you get a really good score on the test, it doesn't matter, you still have to take it with us. Really? Okay. So UCs aren't even aligned. Cal States are not aligned. Private universities are not aligned. There's just no alignment there. Okay, well, talk to me about dual enrollment. Well, if you get a C or better in a dual enrollment course, it's a college course, you receive credit with us. So if you attend our school, you receive credit with us. College course is a college course. It's as if you took it with us. Like, okay, that's pretty self-explanatory. It's pretty good. One of the things, though, that I want to emphasize is that, and it's the bottom bullet point, but I think I probably should have moved it to the very top. We're kind of in a crisis here. When I worked at a high school down in Los Angeles, I dreaded the spring. I dreaded what these students were going through, what these kids were going through. We have an achievement culture right now that is toxic. And the stress and anxiety that our students are going through is unreal. And it breaks my heart to see it for AP and AP tests. And I really think we've got to break away from that. Yes, that's what we went through. That's what our older kids went through. Yes, that's how it's always been. But that fallacy, that traditional mindset, we've got to break away from it. AP is a thing that's happening, and we want our students to take it. But maybe we should see what some alternatives are for our students so we can help them with their mental health. They don't go through as much stress and anxiety, and they get a lot of support through these courses. Those tests, we're teaching to a test, and then sometimes they don't do well on the test, or they don't get a good enough score on the test for the university they want to attend. So really, I wanted to emphasize that. We have this achievement culture that we really need to address. School is not a competition. School is a place of learning. And we need to break away from that mindset that school is a competition. When you take dual classes, if you pass it with a C or better, you get college credit. It's kind of that simple. There's no culminating test in the end, and you don't have to pay for anything. So that's the difference between AP and dual enrollment. Now, do I think we need to wipe out AP completely? The answer is no, because maybe there are some students who that's still the right choice for them, right? But really looking at where we can move and what are some of our alternatives are. I want to just highlight some of the things from last year that we had with dual enrollment. So we have grown tremendously with LTUSD, with the partnership of LTUSD, the administrators of the high schools, both STHS and TLAC, and a lot of teachers are showing interest, and we've had to have a lot of conversations with them, figuring out how can we move forward, what can we do. So these are just some photos I wanted to share. This photo right here is, it was mid-year last year, prior to second semester, of us meeting with all the STHS teachers and a couple individuals from the college, just collaborating on some practices we should do, what we should do differently, how we can make their lives easier, and then teachers putting in some requests for materials and equipment that we could buy for them. And I just want to say it's been a pretty fun experience with them. We're all getting along. We all have the same mission and vision, and that's students first, doing what's best for students and getting them that college credit. Another image we have here is all ninth graders last year during their jump start, we presented to them. And ninth graders, this is pretty rad, all ninth graders are enrolled in a dual enrollment class. And we're pretty ahead of what some goals are in California. So the chancellor of the California Community Colleges has been going on a tour lately, and she has been saying in all of her speaking events, I want every ninth grader to be enrolled in a dual enrollment class by, I want to say it's like 2026. And I was like, great, we're already there. Awesome. And this is really cool. Now, it's a transferable class to Cal States, and Cal States only, but it really is giving them that leg up or that confidence, that experience in a college course so that they can gain that confidence of, I can do a college class, I am college bound. That's pretty much the whole purpose of this particular course. This one is pretty cool. So some of the challenges we've been having is California Community Colleges has a policy of who can and who cannot teach a college course. I don't necessarily agree with that policy, but it's what we have to do, right? It's not LTCC's policy, it's California Community Colleges. And an individual has to have a master's in a subject area in order to teach it. So how are we gonna grow if a high school teacher doesn't have a master's? We came up with this collaborative model when a college instructor teacher will collaborate and co-teach with the high school teacher. And they do it together. And we want to make sure that partnership is good. They like each other. That's a good thing, right? That they are flexible. I always say, and this is what I say to my own children, think like a palm tree. You got to be flexible. Not everything's going to go perfectly. And they're student-centered, student-oriented, right? And so we piloted this last year with one class, and it was a physics class. And I walked in to just check on it real quick, say hi to the teachers and students, and this is what I saw. We've got on the left the college teacher up there lecturing. She's teaching, students are engaged. In the back of the room, I turn and I see the high school teacher. He's working one-on-one with students during this lesson, coaching them through what she's saying. And I was like, this is perfect. This is the most beautiful thing ever. These kids get 2 teachers at the same time. And when a student in the back is struggling or maybe not paying attention fully, you've got this other teacher there who is helping that student. This is so awesome. This is something that we want to continue doing, and we are continuing doing, that I'll hit on in a little bit. This is the beauty of education and teachers committed. And I just want you guys to look at this and just soak it in. I love this so much, and I'm seeing it more and more at the high school. Here are just some other pictures of our students. So our sports medicine, they all received these certificates. These certificates are kind of a big deal for our sports medicine students. Many of them want to pursue these careers now. And when you get a certificate, you can put that on a resume. It's like getting career opportunities and career experience. And then on the other side is dental. Our students, we have many students who are taking advantage of our dental program as well. So we have a lot of students who complete all 3 courses in high school of the dental assisting program and then immediately get job offers after graduating high school. And they're making pretty good money working at these dental offices. And it also allows them to get ahead and pursue a dental education at a college or university as well, if they want to move on in their career and make more money. This is our 9th grade freshman class that all 9th graders participate in. It's partnered with Decision Education Foundation, and we rewrote the course, and it's called Healthy Lifestyle Choices. Healthy Lifestyle Choices focusing on mental health, physical health, emotional health, and even just looking at what are your values in life? What are your values, and how do those drive the decisions that you make on a daily basis? And how will those drive your decisions in life, whether it's college choices or career choices? And every single 9th grader participates in this. And it's a Cal State transferable class. And it's that class that gives students that taste, that flavor of college, and gaining that confidence that they can do a college class. Here are the dual enrollment courses we currently offer at the LTUSD high schools. There's quite a few there, and we're continuing to grow, but I really want to focus on this here. So back in 2021-22, what we hear about college, your first 2 years of college, your general education. In the ed world, college world, we call it IGETC, but it really is just like your general education. If we all went to college, those were our first 2 years. You've got to take a couple English classes. You have to take a math class. You have to take a couple science courses. Our goal in growing our dual enrollment program is to fulfill each section. So Area 1, you're required to take 2 English classes. Area 2, a math class, which many of us know is maybe the biggest challenge for most of our students. It was for me. I almost dropped out of college because of that class, and I put it off as far as I could. And then you have Area 4, Area 5, Area 4, social and behavioral sciences, Area 5, physical and biological sciences. Our goal is to get classes in every single one so you could have students potentially graduate high school completing all of that, all of their general ed. Here's where we were last year. So last year we grew a little bit. The slide is cutting off a little bit. I'm not sure why. But last year we grew a little bit. And last year we had students who completed Area 5, the sciences. They had done environmental science, which is biological, and then physics 104, which is the physical science. So potentially this year, we will have a handful, maybe even more of a handful of graduates who will have already completed the science piece. Here's where we're headed right now in this year. Area 1 will be completed. So students have the opportunity to take both their English classes. Area 2, this is huge, math. For people, humanities minds like mine, that's it. If I could have taken that in high school and get that support by multiple teachers and support staff, so I would no longer have to take math when I got to college, my life would have been a lot cooler. And then area 4, we still have psych. Area 5, we lost the biological science. We lost environmental science due to turnover. A teacher who was teaching it, she moved to another opportunity. But that's okay, because we're gonna find a way to re-include it next year. But we did add chemistry. So chemistry is in there now as well. So students will have the opportunity to choose between physics and chemistry, or both. Next year, that is going to be our focus, adding another science, adding humanities and arts, having courses that we can add. If you see the growth we're going on right now and where we're headed, we, in the next few years, could potentially have our first STHS graduate with their IGETC general ed completed. That's huge. Think of the families who are going to save money, the students who are going to be ahead in college, who are going to be ahead of their peers when they get there, or the students who maybe didn't think they were going to go to college and now they're going to college. Here's one thing I want to really highlight is our dual enrollment advisor. So when we got this grant and I took over and started working on it, we were also given the ability to hire a full-time individual. She spends almost 100% of her time at STHS in Tallac. She has an office at STHS. Why do we do that? Why do we have this individual to support our dual enrollment students? Because when you look at the schools around the state of California and the success stories of students who participated in dual enrollment, the most successful ones are the ones who got support through the process. If you tell a student, here's your college class, okay, bye, good luck, that's going to be hard on them. We even have that problem with students when they graduate high school and move on to college. Go to college, good luck, and they struggle. So why do we have Savannah here? Savannah is there to support those students. She calls them out. She does grade checks. She communicates with parents. She assists teachers. There have been times when teachers have reached out to her and said, hey, do you mind like coming in and helping out? And I'm doing like circles with students, so popping around and assisting students on some of these assignments. And she says, yeah, let me invite my team. So I go with her and a couple other individuals go with her. We are there to support teachers as well and support these students getting through. She also is there to help students in need. And when I say that, I mean introducing students to the resources that LTCC has. For example, she met with a student and she was like, what's going on? Why are you struggling in this class? And the student's like, I'm hungry. I'm not getting much food. And my family, we don't have enough for groceries. So what did she do? The next day, she went to LTCC, went to our basic needs center, got groceries for the week for the student, and got gift cards to Safeway for the student. That student never would have gotten that if Savannah was not there calling him out and meeting with these students. That's just one small example. So having her there to be a support to our students so our students succeed. Because dual enrollment doesn't matter. None of this matters if our students don't succeed. It will only matter and will only grow if they succeed. And that's all that matters to us as students, if the students do well. So what are our next steps here? We've got to continue our growth with Mount Tallac High School. So one of the cool things is we have a dual enrollment course with Mount Tallac, but with their schedule and some of the barriers they have, it's been tough adding more and more dual classes. But we still want those students to realize they're college bound. We still want those students to feel like they can go to college. So we've actually been hosting them. We're going to host them this school year every single Friday. They are going to have their high school day, their whole day, academic day, at LTCC. They're going to use our classrooms, they're going to use our facilities, and they're going to wander around and take advantage of what LTCC has to offer. We want them to feel like I can go to college. We want them to see what college can be like. And so we're hosting them because our goal is to make them feel college bound. Whether they go to LTCC or not doesn't matter. We want them to go to college. What we need to do now is provide offerings in general ed. Continue our offerings in general ed, the IGETC area, so we can have students graduate with that potential of an AA degree or even a year or so ahead. What does that mean? Well, we have areas of focus. So there's a strategic plan. It's not just like, let's see what classes we can create and throw them at the wall. It really is a strategic plan looking at these general ed areas and addressing those to make sure we can provide those opportunities. Lastly, we have to increase our enrollment of our Latinx Hispanic population here and our low income population. The reason why we have to do that is that students are first here in our community. If we continue with the status quo of the same students being successful going over and over again, we're still going to be leaving half of our community behind. Students need to know, and their families need to know, that this opportunity is for all of them. This isn't AP, this is for all students. And if they want to take advantage of it, they should. And we have some strategies in place to host them, to give them informational events, and to even have workshops to help them create an ed plan with dual enrollment, but also to meet their A through G requirements. So those are our next steps. A lot of exciting stuff is happening, but we have a lot to do as well. But I really, truly believe in this mission, and I truly believe that if we continue this growth, we know that education is the backbone and is something that will benefit our students in this community, and we'll see more success in our community. Thank you.
Thank you, Thomas. All right, any questions for Adam? That was a lot of stuff in both presentations, and maybe Adam and Dr. Cutler will stay for a few minutes after, and you can approach them one-on-one. But we're glad to have these and other great educational professionals in our community and all the partners and supporters, which include those of us in the business community. We know the value of education. That's one of the reasons why the Chamber wanted to do this program this evening, and we'll do more of them. I guess one question I had for Dr. Cutler, I was particularly keen on the issue of some of the facilities that are lacking in infrastructure and upgrades. So if you could address that maybe a little bit more specifically.
So, is this on? Should I go up there?
Yeah.
So specifically, what are the challenges we're facing with our facilities?
Yes.
You know, when I showed some of those pictures, when we passed the bond back in '08 and did the work, we did a great job of building some new structures and new facilities. But what wasn't touched was our older facilities, and we have schools that have been sitting there for 40, 50 plus years that haven't been necessarily updated. They've been maintained over the years, but they're getting to an age where it's in dire need of updates, whether it be heating and air conditioning systems, roofing systems, siding system. I mean, they're just at a place where they're no longer going to be highly effective. I want to say, because some people have said, well, maybe you guys didn't do a good job maintaining. And I think over the years, there's been times, maybe that's true. I tell you what, our facility teams are out there working really hard to make sure that our schools are safe. But you think about the asphalt and how bad our asphalt is. Just to give you a sense, we're across our entire district, we have problems with asphalt. And we budget 3 to 5% of our budget is going to facilities. And we were looking at how do we get our driveways safe, and we had potholes everywhere. And really, we couldn't budget more than about $100,000, and that might sound like a lot. All it really did was get us holes patched and places to make sure that we could drive in safely and exit safely. So there's just a lot of components that are getting to that time. I would also say this, our facilities were built before we put air conditioning in, most of them, right? And they're not necessarily conducive environments right now during these summer hotter months, and of course it's hotter. So those are things that we just have to consider. And I mentioned furniture. Folks think, well, don't spend money on furniture. By the way, we have been spending some money on furniture, and I would say it's learning environments, but we're actually spending money that is not from our general fund. It's developer fee money. And we thought, well, at least we're going to do is start to improve some of the the environments through the learning environment components. I hope that answered. I'm not sure if I
No,
touched
I
on
think
exactly what
so.
you're asking.
The older buildings become not efficient to actually maintain. You really need to upgrade, right?
Yeah,
It gets
they
too
just
many
need-
Band-Aids.
if we were to pass a bond in the future, our focus is fixing and improving our older buildings, period, and making sure that they're safe places for students every day.
How tough is it, Dr. Cutler, to recruit new teachers? Because each year you see in the Tribune X number of teachers retiring, adding up to this many years of academic experience. That's got to be a challenge as well.
Yeah, I mean, I want to say this, and we celebrate those that are retiring and moving on, and of course you have that void though, right? All those experience. It's hard at times to find staff to be here because it's so expensive to live, and we've had many staff members or many people we've recruited and said, hey, come join us, and they look into housing and they say, no, I can't. One of the great things I think we've been doing as a staff is really looking for how do we support our locals to get into our system, hire them as instructional assistants, and encourage getting to start their education. And so many of our instructional assistants, for example, are in educational programs to become teachers, and so that we're trying to start to grow and develop our own as well. So that's one of our focuses. And I will say this, we did an incredible job, I believe. We're basically fully staffed with the exception of some instructional assistant positions. I believe maybe a custodial position, but we really did a great job trying, because we were short with bus drivers, we were short with custodians, instructional assistants. Some of our teaching positions, we're working on making sure their credential lines up, because that's another challenge. Like special education is very difficult to find enough people with credentials. But we've struggled, but I'd also say we're doing a pretty good job too.
That's good to hear. Any questions in the audience for Dr. Cutler? I think I see
I
some.
can't see very well. So.
I can if I get out of the light. Councilmember Wallace.
I actually have a question for Aaron. My question is, are you having trouble with the relationship between the credits needed for the high schoolers to graduate with the state system and the dual enrollment classes? I've graduated 4 kids and have a current child at South Tahoe High, and I know that there are certain requirements. And actually, when 2 of my kids were in high school 17 years ago, they went to the 4x4 system, which reduced the number of classes that were available to high schoolers, because you had 6 classes per semester that they could use. And the 4x4 system really did a couple of things. It reduced the number of classes that they had per year to get their units in, and it really screwed up the AP system. I hated it.
Good question. There are a couple things in there. So when you said 6 classes per semester, it's actually 6 classes per year. So if you look at a traditional high school, they take 6 classes and it's year long. Where the 4x4 actually allows for kids to take 4 classes per semester. So they actually get 8 classes per year, yeah. So, and that is, like, I've heard some people mention things like that. I'm like, oh, actually, it can be more beneficial to our students in this community. I think that I truly like the 4x4 because I think students can take advantage of more. They get more opportunities. And so just wanted to kind of correct that. But yeah, for sure. Another thing is, so California K-12 is interesting, is that high schools have the opportunity to create their own graduation requirements. So it's not like now California does say you have to do these things, but there are other things that high schools can decide on. Some high schools say our graduation requirements is going to be A through G, right? Other high schools say, like, no, we're not going to make it A through G. We're going to bring it here, and we're going to put these courses into our map, and that's the graduation requirement. So we haven't had difficulty with it because we look at what does STHS currently require for their graduation requirements, and then what courses do we have that can fulfill that and a college general ed. Does that make sense?
It absolutely
Yeah.
does. And by the way, I love this.
Okay, cool. Awesome. Me too. So yeah, I just want to emphasize that the 4x4 is actually pretty beneficial to students, and yeah, AP is tough because sometimes you take an AP class in fall, and then you have to take the test all the way at the end of the school year, so you go almost a whole semester without the content at all, and then you got to take a test. So yeah. N-
You
No.
want to repeat the question?
So the question is, with 4x4, don't you have less or fewer teacher contact time? And the answer is per student, yeah. And the answer is actually no. And the reason why is, if you look at 6 classes per day, those classes are shorter in time, right? And that equates to a certain amount of time in the school year. If you look at the 4x4, it's longer time per day and equates to about the same amount if you look at the year.
8 classes versus 6 in a year, mathematically, it seems like there has to be less time for 8 classes per class ultimately over the whole year.
It's something to look into. I've worked in block scheduling where you have to meet a state requirement of instructional minutes per day. And so if it's less, it's like the state would say, no. Yeah.
And so I was wondering with the students with these college courses that they're now taking. So at the lower levels now, they're having the background to take a course.
If you're going to keep going.
College course?
Sorry, repeat the question.
Just, if you're taking a college course in high school.
Yeah.
Generally, you've had like some math or some science before.
Yep.
Or you've taken a course that's a little less intense, and then you go to college, and it's kind of a repeat of some of this stuff, right? And you learn
Yeah.
it. Well, if you're doing that in college, then you're not getting, where are you getting the kind of back detail that you need to
Yeah,
do
the
well in the
prerequisites.
class?
Right,
Yeah,
the prereq.
exactly.
Yeah, so that content is there as well. And actually the 4x4 helps in that because you have students who can take courses in the fall and then meet those prereqs or get that content background to take it in the spring. So for example, this year we're launching chemistry as another collaborative model, college teacher, high school teacher working together. We're looking at the students. There's prereqs for it, and we're looking at the students who signed up, and they already took kind of like an intro.
So 11th and 12th grade, is that what it said?
Mostly for those ones, 11th, 12th. You'll get some students in 10th grade that are taking psych because they can. So yeah, so there's no, like, this is the first math. Yeah. This is the first chemistry or science class you'll ever take. No, that's not happening. Yeah, good question.
Let me run up the microphone over here. Another question. Thank you, ma'am. There you go.
Thank you. Hi, Adam. A question for you. I tease students every day that I put on my mom hat before I put on my teacher hat. So, as a mom who put 2 kids through college already, I've got a question for you.
Yeah.
Our kids are able to get incredible amount of scholarship money here in Lake Tahoe from the universities, not only our local communities, and that's for 4 years, when they go in for 4 years. As transfer students, that number's much lower, the amount of money. Are our students who are dual enrolled, are they going in as transfer students or new 4 years?
New 4 years. So technically students, you took college courses while in high school, but technically you're still in high school. And when you graduate, the universities accept you as if you're not a freshman technically on academic paper, but you're a first year student there. And one thing that dual enrollment benefits is that now you have the opportunity to stretch it out over 4 years, but not take as many courses over those 4 years. But it doesn't negatively affect their opportunities of getting scholarships in any way. State of California, especially at UCs and Cal States, they're ran by the state of California. And the state of California is pushing dual enrollment more and more. And so that would just contradict all their goals and what they want to do. Yeah, good question, yeah.
Any additional questions? I see a couple. Here, hold on.
Yes, Adam, you mentioned that we need to improve the attendance of our minority population and Hispanic population. One suggestion I would like to make is that this particular um, this course that you gave us should be given to them, because you will not find them here.
Right.
And from my experience, I find out that part of our problem is that the parents are not informed.
Correct.
They just don't know. I just spoke to one last weekend and has a senior in high school who wants to go to the police academy. And I tried to explain to him that if he went to the community college first, he would then can, go into the police academy and at a different status. But the parents had absolutely no idea.
Yeah, and
Of
I
the
love that
benefit-
you.
of the benefits.
You have the benefit. And I love that you
Mhm.
brought that up, because that is, we have an outreach strategy this year, and I actually, within my grant, have a large chunk of money to spend on hiring a marketing firm. And when I hired them, and they're about to get rolling, is our emphasis is you need to reach our Latinx Hispanic community. That's who you need to reach. And part of that is we're partnering with the Family Resource Center here in town. And we just met with Karen Goldberg, the new director, last week to put together a long-term plan over the year of having events, Spanish-speaking events, and having many representatives there to not only inform them and educate them, but help them set up an ed plan for their students. Focusing on A through G requirements as well. So A through G and dual enrollment, because we want our students to succeed. But you're right, a lot of them just aren't aware and don't know, and we want to advocate for them and basically hold their hand and say, no, sign up for these courses if you want that for your students. And if you need help meeting with your kid's high school counselor, we've already arranged for multiple individuals at the college who are bilingual to attend those meetings with them to help with the translation and language barrier. So I love that you brought that up, because you're right. That's exactly what needs to happen. And that's our goal for this year, to try to raise that awareness and also get the enrollments of those students in there.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Saw a hand over here somewhere. Excuse me. All right. And then you, and then Mr.
Sorry, I came a few minutes late. I was coaching the freshman volleyball team.
Oh, cool.
So I heard you guys talking about the block schedule and the 4x4. Have you guys considered a modified 4x4 for classes and courses where there's a lot of learning loss, in particular math and language, foreign languages? If you go 8 months without a subject, it's a huge issue.
Yeah, that's a Todd question, because I'm not an administrator of the district, so I don't make those decisions.
Oh, sorry, Todd. Love you.
Awesome.
Mean it.
Dr. Keller.
Yeah, and I wanted to also say to the previous question, last year we implemented, we added an additional counselor that was funded through a grant to help our students really understand their college and career course path and A through G requirements, and that's Kim Ovento at the high school. That's just in addition to that, the last question. In regards to the 4x4 and the question there, we really focus and allow our staff, our leadership at the high school with the staff to look at what's the best for the students and how are we best addressing their needs. That, for example, last year they implemented what they call the FLEX program, in which it's a time where students that are struggling in certain academic areas will get additional help and support in that. And we've asked our high school to continue to evaluate what's the best, whether it's 4x4 or some other modification to that, as to make certain that all students are getting what they need, as well as the additional supports for a certain subject area. And again, they've implemented the FLEX, and I'd have to look to Dr. Reeder. When did we implement that FLEX at the high school? Not second term last year? Yeah, and so that was one of the efforts of the high school, that they came up with that plan to help students that needed a little bit more time with coursework. I hope that answered the question. I think it was Christy back there.
Sorry. This question I think is more for Adam. I just wanted to ask about the dual program and to see what you guys are doing, if you do anything to include special needs students. There is a program in California where they get some extended help after high school, and just wanted to know if you're including that community at all in this program.
Yes, 100%. So students with IEPs, again, like I said, these courses are for all students and students with IEPs. And all the accommodations that students get in their K-12 courses and their high school courses, they receive the same. And then that additional support, and they have their resource teachers as well who provide that support as well. So no one's excluded at all. But I do want to say that we still need to emphasize with those students that they're college bound as well, and to give them a little college experience so that they know they can still attend college, even though it might take them a little longer to comprehend certain material, like myself. You can still succeed in college and you can still do well. And in order to do that, you need the tools in your toolbox, which are your accommodations that you deserve and you should have. Yeah. Yeah.
I want to thank the Tahoe Chamber for doing this. It's excellent, the school district. My brief comment is that I've seen the tech departments at the high school especially, and they're amazing, the job they do. And not everybody goes to college. And but I also wanted to comment that you're right about the Hispanic community. For some reason, they're not reaching into the college the way they should. But when it comes to the tech schools, like dental assisting and all those kind of things, carpentry, plumbing, and auto mechanics, you're already doing a great job, but I didn't hear much about it tonight, so I was hoping you could toot your horn a little.
Well, I definitely would love to toot the horn of the career tech education at our high school. And, you know, I mean, I will tell you, before I got here, I knew about South Tahoe High School's career tech education and the facilities and all that it entails. And the wonderful thing, it so aligns with our vision statement, right, of helping students discover and foster their unique talents and potential. And so, you know, whether it's down with where we have the full bay where they work on cars. As a matter of fact, right now they're from scratch building an electric car. And in their fact, I talked to the teacher the other day, and that probably won't be done this year, but it'll be done at the beginning of next year. And as a matter of fact, he said, well, this will be a district car, you know, you can run around the district in it. And I'm like, great, and that's part of our sustainability. You know, you see the dental program, you know, I could run through all of our classes, our art programs. I mentioned our construction program and building the tiny homes, all that they're doing there. We have endless programs, and actually it's a challenge for us a little bit, because as our schools get smaller, it's harder how we figure out how to manage it. And so one of the focuses is how do we build a sustainable CT coursework where we don't lose it. And like, you know, so if we think about health and like health sciences, and that feeds you to the sports medicine, right? Or it feeds you to, because we have an incredible sports medicine program and that we've got going on at our school. Isaiah Tanasi just does an amazing job there. Matter of fact, he leads much of our career tech education programs, big focus on the grants. We have the hospitality and tourism. All of the performing arts, I believe, are, to my mind, are career tech education courses as well, as they prepare students for that possible path. The arts we have in our schools. So I appreciate you mentioning that. I hope I was able to quickly hit on it, but it is quite impressive. You know, when I talked about the facilities, that was one of the great things of the previous bond. It built facilities that are top end. You talk about Viking TV and actually what they're producing in that studio. I mean, it's just amazing what we're doing and the facilities we have for our career tech education. Thank you for giving that opportunity.
Well, as many good administrators and teachers would do, they look at the clock, and I see it's almost 8 o'clock. So I'm going to switch over here, Thomas. So I want to have another round of applause for our two presenters, Dr. Cutler, Adam Nyman. And I hope this has piqued your interest. I know all of you are here, and many of you watching because you're interested in education, but we need to, as this lady suggested, get the word out as to what is available in our community and encourage people to get engaged, parents and students alike. So on behalf of Mike Glover, myself at Tahoe Chamber, and our board chair is here, Chris Proctor, thank you for coming, thank you for attending, and have a great rest of your evening. Bye.